Greetings, opera lovers. It's Rona from Pittsburgh. The new Metropolitan Opera season is upon us. Last night was a gala opening of Eugene Onegin by Tchaikovsky. I'm sure it was put on as a star vehicle for their reigning soprano, Anna Netrebko. She took on the role of Tatiana. I always think that opera should be called Tatiana anyway. And last night, she was the star. It's called Eugene Onegin, and yet, really the drama revolves around her. Of course, it's based on the poem by Pushkin with the title of Eugene Onegin, so therefore the title of the opera. The Met kindly webcast the proceedings, which started at a very early time of 6:30. I thought we'd be over and through with the opera way earlier than it ended. First, it started quite late, almost 20 minutes late, which is late for the Met, even for an opening night. And aside from the two standard intermissions, there were long pauses between scenes and scenery changes. I found this very jarring. The long intermissions were interminable. I didn't have a stopwatch with me, but they seemed to be about a half an hour each. There was one other pause that was really, in my mind, just outrageous, but I'll get to that later. So I couldn't see the production. I did see what YouTube had on their channel through the Met of Anna singing her letter scene, Eugene Onegin singing, Marius Kvitchin as Eugene Onegin singing, and an excerpt featuring Pyotr Bekchawa singing Kuda Kuda. All of it was lovely, nothing fantastic. I know the production before this was really beloved by Carson. I was one of the people who did not love it, mainly because I hadn't been to the Met in many years at that point, 1960. At 1960. I was 60. That was 6 years ago. As you can see, it's very early in the morning. I can't do math right now. And so I was really looking forward to a grand production. And what I got was a minimalist production. Yes, it was elegant. I loved the leaves. I did not like the ballroom scene at all. Not one chandelier. All those chairs. Okay, that's an old production. I have no idea what this production looks like, except I heard that there's a lot of snow. So let's get right down to the music. The opera started off quite slowly. It was okay with me because I felt that although the tempo was slow, it sort of fit the character of the mood of the opera. And then the individual singers started singing. Anna is a little off stage, so I wasn't really sure how she was going to sound for the rest of the evening. But I will tell you this. I have to use my cheat sheet because I don't know these names. The woman who played Olga, Oksana Volkova, was excellent, in my opinion. She and the woman who played the nurse, who was Larisa Diadkova, also. They were excellent secondary players. Then, of course, for the other role, the role of the mother was Lena Zaremba. I heard her in the last production of Onegin. I do not care for her voice at all. But it was Anna's show from beginning to end. Of course, there is that great letter scene. It was just gorgeous. She let her voice pour out with abandon. There was no holding back. It must be so difficult to accomplish this on an opening night, knowing that thousands of people all over the world are listening to you. Didn't seem to faze her one bit vocally. It was the best singing I have ever heard from her. I also think this is the repertoire that suits her the best. I don't care for her in all those bel canto operas. Not that I don't think she has a beautiful voice, because I do think she has a beautiful voice, and she has a very good technique for many things, but not for the runs. They just don't they just don't do it for me. This is lush repertoire for the kind of voice she has. And her sound it was just like a cascade of gorgeous tone. And her musicianship was flawless. Of course, I don't speak Russian. I would imagine she pronounced everything spot on. Going down the list of singers, one of my favorite tenors, Pyotr Batchawa, played Lenski. Of course, he dies in the middle of Act 2, so he doesn't have anything to do at all in Act 3. But he sings what is perhaps the most famous aria, Kuda Kuda. And I knew he would do a great job. I've heard other renditions of his on YouTube, and he did. He was able to sing very softly and very in full ardent love mode as well. And as always, elegant, not forced, just beautiful. The audience seemed to love him as well. In the title role of Eugene Onegin was a singer who I've heard many times, and I've liked him very much in the repertoire I've heard him in before, which was not Tchaikovsky. In my opinion, this was not a good choice for him, singing Onegin. I heard that he didn't feel well, so maybe it's not fair to judge him by last night's performance. But he started off kind of weak. He got way better by the third act, but it wasn't a star-turning vehicle. In the other roles was the basso who played Gremin, whose name is Alexander Tanvitsky or something like that. I didn't care for him at all. And the one who played Triquet was John Graham Hall. I don't know who told him to sing that way. I thought it was laughable. It just wasn't good. I know this is a character tenor part, and it's supposed to have lots of character. Well, it did, but it was an unpleasant character. Some of the orchestral playing was absolutely gorgeous, as in the ballroom scene in the beginning of Act 3. Now we're going to get to Act 3, the great duet between Onegin and Tatiana, where the music just soars and soars, and you can feel the passion, the heat between them. Right before the very end of their duet, there is an enormous pause. I found out that during that pause, Tatiana kisses Onegin, as if to show him what he's missed all his life. That pause went on forever. It completely disrupted the flow of the music for me at home. Of course, I'm not watching it, so I can't see. Well, those are my general impressions. I was lucky enough to be able to go into Parterre Box chat and meet up with some of my friends, and in general, I would say we all kind of had the same opinion, thinking that things were slow. There were some wider opinions about Mr. Bakhchawa. Some people were more vocal that they didn't love him as much as I do. But other than that, I think the consensus was this was a great star vehicle for Miss Netrebko. It was noted this was her third premiere of the season in a row. Quite a feat for someone. I guess I should also mention that there were protesters outside the Met, so we heard, and that before the program started, before the opera started, there was some noise from the audience. No one could really tell what it was. I was a little surprised that when Valery Gergiev came out to give to take his initial bow, that some people didn't boo just to show their support for the LGBT community. But that didn't happen. There was no booing. I I am going to see the production in the theaters when it comes out later in October, and I'm looking forward to that, especially to hearing Miss Netrebko in the role, in my opinion, that she was born to sing. Have a great day, everybody.